As the sun rises gently on a crisp autumn morning, I find myself staring out of the window, filled with a sense of tranquility that envelops my life in this moment. My name is Olivia, a 31-year-old freelance graphic designer. For 6 years now, I have been married to the love of my life, Liam, an architect whose passion for creating spaces that harmonize with the world around us never ceases to amaze me. After a year of yearning and hoping, a flicker of joy ignited within us when I discovered I was 5 months pregnant with our first child. In our hearts, we cherished the dreams of becoming parents. It was a journey we had looked forward to and envisioned countless times. Liam is a pillar of support, a nurturing partner who has eagerly joined me in prenatal yoga classes and devoted hours to researching baby gear, all while meticulously designing a serene, minimalist nursery space. His excitement radiates, and it is a love I can feel deep within my soul. But we made a deliberate choice to keep our news close to our hearts. Our decisions stemmed from the delicate nature of these early months of pregnancy, compounded by conscious thoughts of protecting this fragile happiness. Until we reached the end of the first trimester, after receiving our NFT results which confirmed the health of our baby, we would share our joy only with those we held dear. We knew our families would celebrate with us, but we also sensed the importance of privacy during this beautiful yet vulnerable time. The moment finally arrived when we were ready to share our news with close family. When I shared the news with my mother, Eliza, her joy overflowed. She enveloped me in her arms, tears streaming down her cheeks, as she expressed an understanding of our cautious approach, her heart bursting with love. There was warmth in her embrace, and in her face I saw the shared dreams of motherhood, slipping from her to me through generations. Yet the reaction from Liam's mother, Evelyn, was less warm, a chilling contrast to my mother's embrace. Her response dripped with passive aggression and veiled discontent, with remarks that left a bitter taste in my mouth. "I suppose we are lucky to know it all," she had said, her tone suggesting I was the architect of my own exclusion. Evelyn hinted at lost bonding time, rather than extending the heartfelt congratulations that one would hope for in such a tender moment. Her words echoed in the air like a storm cloud looming over an otherwise bright sky. Evelyn's behavior left me feeling uneasy. It was as if a shadow had draped over our idyllic beginning. I had always sensed an undercurrent of neediness in her, a desire for control masked behind a facade of maternal care. It was concerning, especially because Liam and I had only just begun to navigate the uncharted waters of parenthood. As the weeks passed, Evelyn's manipulations began to manifest more openly. The initial veneer of civility began to crumple at family gatherings. Subtle jabs that cut me to the core clouded our interactions. She would often redirect conversations around me, focusing solely on Liam and dismissing my contributions. During one dinner, Evelyn had asked Liam, completely ignoring me, when he planned to start his real family. It stung as if she were telling me that I was not part of that narrative. Even Liam's estranged father, Arthur, who usually kept his distance, seemed to sense her growing discontent. I caught him glancing at her with concern in those quiet moments, when her passive aggressiveness spilled out into the atmosphere around us, uninvited as it was unwelcome. The contrast of the two families weighed heavily on my heart, and I found myself retreating inward, wondering if I was indeed a vessel being drawn into uncharted waters, or if I had the power to steer this narrative. Our baby was supposed to be the joyful center of this new chapter, but I could already see complications arising with Evelyn, a foreboding sense that this journey would not be as simple as I had once envisioned. As I looked at my reflection in the window, I could see my unease mirrored back at me. I wondered how I could keep our journey smooth amidst the expectations of family, especially those that seemed determined to carve out my role as simply an accessory rather than an integral part of our growing family. This emerging dynamic left me anxious, yet I was resolute to protect what we had lovingly created. Even within the shadow cast by Evelyn's cutting remarks, a flicker of light remained in Liam's unwavering support. He often reassured me that our family would forge our own path, one born from love, respect, and mutual understanding. Still, I wore my feelings like a quilt patched together by the hands of our two families, one a haven of support and joy, while the other quietly threatened to unravel my burgeoning happiness. The dawn of parenthood, once anticipated as a serene journey, now faced the complexities of entangled familial tides. It was clear we had to navigate this carefully. Every word, every action, and every interaction would shape not just our experience of pregnancy, but the family dynamic we wished to build. As I settled down with influence from the sun's warm rays streaming through the window, I pondered the path ahead. The dawn of parenthood felt less like a gentle awakening, and more like the first chapter of a story filled with untold possibilities, some beautiful, others frightening. Each day brought fresh hope, but also the challenge of establishing the boundaries necessary to protect the bond we were steadily building. Little did I know that the journey would soon demand more communication and resilience than I had ever anticipated. The delicate balance between family expectations and carving out a space for our new family was only the beginning. A daunting yet beautiful adventure lay ahead. As we walked along the leaf-laden paths of autumn, a certain tension began weaving itself into the fabric of our lives that I had not anticipated. The anticipation of welcoming our little one was enveloped by a growing shadow, the presence of Liam's mother, Evelyn. I could not have imagined just how much anxiety would unravel from that single thread. Initially, when we shared our pregnancy news, I had hoped for acceptance and joy from her. Instead, subtle barbs and passive-aggressive remarks became a regular part of our family gatherings. At one such dinner, amidst the warmth of laughter and the clinking of plates, Evelyn's voice pierced through the jovial atmosphere. "I suppose we are lucky to know it all," she said, her words drenched in sarcasm, directed solely at Liam. The way she dismissed me, as though I were an invisible figure at the table, made my stomach churn. Each biting comment scratched at the surface of my composure, revealing strands of self-doubt that I had struggled to overcome. Liam, ever the supportive partner, noticed the shift in my demeanor. His eyes would often meet mine across the table, silently communicating reassurance. Yet I could tell that he was wrestling his own emotions, conflicted between his loyalty to me and the weight of his mother's expectations. The social gatherings became battlegrounds of sorts, with Evelyn deftly wielding her passive-aggressive arsenal. It was as though she was on a mission to challenge our autonomy as parents even before our baby had taken its first breath. On one particularly glaring occasion, as we sat surrounded by family, she turned to Liam, completely ignoring my presence. "Have you thought about when you will start your real family?" The air thickened, stale from ambivalence and disdain. Slowly, I realized that to Evelyn, my pregnant belly seemed to signify only complication rather than celebration. With every dinner and family outing, Evelyn would slowly unveil her resentment. I noticed Liam's estranged father, Arthur, keenly observing Evelyn's interactions, a faint look of concern marking his features. Where once our family gatherings underscored togetherness, they now served as a reminder of the divisions threatening to form within our new family unit. One evening after a particularly tense dinner, I mustered my courage to address Evelyn's growing animosity. I had taken to journaling my feelings, trying to give voice to the storm brewing within me. As I shared my feelings with Liam that night, he nodded, lost in thought. He did not dismiss my emotions, but rather seemed weighed down by the complexity of it all. "We will navigate this together," he assured me, holding my hand as if that simple gesture could annul the reality of our situation. Yet the very next weekend, matters escalated further as Evelyn unnervingly pulled Liam aside into a quiet corner. Their conversation, shielded from my ears, was momentarily broken by the echoes of laughter erupting from the main room. Bit by bit, I began to piece together the fragments when Liam rejoined me. His brow furrowed. A storm had brewed between him and his mother. She had accused me of manipulating Liam into excluding her from this vital familial experience, labeling our decision for privacy as an act of defiance rather than prudence. Liam, steadfast in his resolve, defended our choices. "This is about us, and we need to prioritize Olivia and our baby," he had maintained, yet my heart sank at the realization that the tension with Evelyn would not dissipate so easily. It was evident that she would engage in emotional manipulation to rend our bond apart, and it unnerved me to think of her veiled attacks. Evelyn's insistence that I was alienating Liam from his true family obligations wrapped around my heart like a vice. The days that followed saw Evelyn's fabrications grow more elaborate. One afternoon I awoke to a lengthy email from her, a meticulously crafted missive that dripped with emotional manipulation. In her words, she expressed profound hurt, claiming I was tearing the family apart and paint the picture of a woman devoid of respect for tradition. Reading those lines made the hair on the back of my neck stand up. My instincts screamed that this was her attempt to exert control over our situation. Liam, too, was disturbed by the email. "This is not how it should be," he muttered, disbelief lining his voice. His stern reply would ultimately come by way of a phone call to his mother, as he set the boundaries she so desperately refused to acknowledge. However, the prospect of Evelyn's manipulation did not fade. Rather, it only grew more insidious. Shortly after, in an effort to reclaim her lost ground, Evelyn proposed a baby shower, a grand gesture of reconciliation, as if to display newfound kindness. Reluctantly, I agreed, sensing that Liam thought this could be a turning point for his mother. But even as I gave in, an uncomfortable knot formed in my stomach, a feeling of foreboding. With the decision made, I poured myself into the preparations, determined to create a space reflective of our family's essence, hoping to blend our dreams with familial support. Yet even as I prepared for what was meant to be a celebration, I could not shake the feeling that this gathering would not bring healing but unrest, further complicating the delicate web of our family dynamics. As the days rolled on, I remained haunted by the mantras I whispered to myself. I had to stay strong, to maintain my peace amidst the chaos that was Evelyn's manipulation. Ultimately, I had to shield my unborn child from the darkness that had crept into our lives. And with that resolve, I went through the motions, oblivious to the storm that was about to erupt at the baby shower, one that would forcefully lay bare the consequences of Evelyn's entitlement and manipulation. The day of the baby shower arrived, clouded by an unsettling anticipation that hung heavily in the air. Although it was meant to be a joyful celebration for the impending arrival of our little one, an undercurrent of tension coursed through me like a live wire. I tried to focus on the positive energy that was supposed to surround such a momentous occasion, but Evelyn's previous manipulations gnawed at the edges of my excitement, turning my expectations into dread. As I entered the venue, a beautiful space that Liam and I had spent hours discussing, I immediately saw Evelyn had taken complete charge. From the moment I walked in, it felt as though I had stepped into her domain. The decor was overwhelmingly opulent, featuring muted golds and deep burgundies that seemed out of place for a celebration meant to honor a new life. The air felt thick, not just with the fragrance of flowers, but with the weight of Evelyn's relentless control. A massive backdrop dominated one wall, designed specifically with baby photos of Liam plastered across it, while the centerpiece, a regal portrait of Evelyn cradling a baby Liam, loomed prominently. My heart sank. The entire scene screamed not of celebration, but rather of an extravagant declaration of her legacy, attempting to eclipse the reality of my own journey into motherhood. Every thoughtful suggestion I had made during the planning process had been completely dismissed. A wave of humiliation washed over me, but I could not let it show. I resolved to play my part and make the best of it. As guests started arriving, I was met with warm smiles from my closest friends and family, but Evelyn's presence became increasingly stifling. She was relentless, making biting remarks as she reveled in the limelight. Just when I thought I might be able to enjoy the day, Evelyn took to the center stage. With a theatrical flourish, she presented a vintage rocking horse, extravagantly wrapped, that did not fit into my vision for the nursery or our values as new parents. "Isn't this just perfect?" she proclaimed loudly, her smile a mask for something far more sinister. I could feel the eyes of everyone in the room, some amused, some confused, and I struggled to muster a smile in response. My mind was racing. Was this truly how she meant to honor the new life? Or was this a cold attempt to tighten her chokehold around our family? As we transitioned into the traditional game of wishing well, Evelyn took it upon herself to declare the name she had chosen for our child, Beatrice Hyacinth. I felt the entire room fall silent, as if the air had been sucked out. I had almost forgotten that excruciating pressure she had previously put on us to name our child after some long-forgotten family tradition that neither Liam nor I found meaningful. In that moment, I realized my composure was faltering. "We already have a name picked out and will share it when the time is right," I responded, attempting to maintain my poise. But Evelyn's reaction was instantaneous. A deluge of accusations erupted from her lips, tearing through the fragile fabric of a gathering meant for joy. "Ungrateful. You are taking away my chance to be a grandmother. It is your upbringing that has failed to instill respect for the family," she hissed, her words dripping with venom. The words struck me like a physical blow, cutting deeper than I had anticipated. What once felt like safe space, crafted from love and care, had quickly devolved into a battleground, exposing all the cracks in our familial relationships. Evelyn's presence closed in on me, her body stepping into my personal space as she spat quietly so that only I could hear, "You are just a vessel. The true link to our family lineage is me." This confrontation violated not only my boundaries but my very essence, and I could feel my heart racing, the instinct to flee clawing at my insides. The guests' discomfort grew palpable, as it became clear the chaos was not going to quiet down. I tried to back away discreetly, clutching a few gifts, yearning to escape the suffocating pressure of her hostility. But just as I attempted to leave, Evelyn physically blocked my path, her anger boiling over. "You will not take my gifts," she yelled, and then in a fit of rage, she swept an entire table adorned with small presents onto the floor, scattering them chaotically amidst the shocked silence. It was in that moment of public disorder that I felt not only demoralized but unsafe. Witnessing this spectacle play out before our family and friends, many of whom pulled out their phones to capture the chaos, made me realize that this was no longer about us. It had become a distorted reflection of all the ways Evelyn sought to manipulate and control our narrative. Overwhelmed, I reached for my phone and made the fateful decision to call emergency services for assistance. When the police arrived, I expected Evelyn would attempt to charm her way back into control, but instead her arrogance turned chaotic as she bristled against the uniformed officers. As they questioned her, the mask she wore so carefully began to slip, revealing the volatile anger that lurked beneath. Ultimately, the officers took control of the situation, leading Evelyn away in handcuffs for disturbing the peace and harassment. I left the venue stunned, my mother, sister-in-law, and dear friends supporting me as we walked out. While sadness enveloped me, I also felt a strange mixture of relief and resolve surging through my veins. I had stepped into that day, hoping for unity, but walked away with a clearer understanding of the boundaries I needed to establish to protect my family from Evelyn's manipulative grasp. The baby shower that was meant to bring joy had imploded, exposing the depths of entitlement and control wrapped in a facade of love that Evelyn cloaked herself in. The chaos had forged a new path, one that I must now tread carefully on as I confronted the reality of my mother-in-law's influence on the family dynamics that stretched beyond just myself and Liam. Liam's immediate response to the police action took me by surprise. While I had been prepared for various reactions, his conflicted emotions were unexpected. As we sat together in the aftermath of the baby shower debacle, the air heavy with unsaid words, I could see the storm brewing within him. The protective instincts that had initially risen in the face of his mother's chaotic behavior were now overshadowed by a confusing blend of concern and regret. "Did we really need to call the police?" he asked quietly, his forehead creased with worry over the potential fallout. I understood his internal struggle. Calling the authorities on a family member is never a decision made lightly. Yet I could not shake the gnawing anxiety that this was precisely the boundary we desperately needed to establish. Evelyn's erratic behavior had escalated beyond verbal attacks to such an extent that it felt like a grotesque caricature of motherhood, one that could no longer be ignored. "I understand where you are coming from, but we had no choice. She was out of control," I replied, my voice steady despite the whirlwind of emotions swirling inside me. While Liam and I were navigating the personal aftermath of Evelyn's arrest, the external repercussions began to unfold. The family, once tightly knit, started to unravel at the seams. With rumors spreading like wildfire, Evelyn became the victim in her carefully woven narrative, contacting distant relatives and portraying herself as the wronged matriarch. Her version, one of being unfairly attacked by me, began to circulate, painting me as the villain who had pulled Liam away from his true family obligations. I kept myself occupied with work, trying to use my creativity as a shield against the emotional fallout. But every ping of my phone brought a new wave of anxiety, messages from family members, texts filled with comments that seemed to echo Evelyn's narrative. I braced myself for the inevitable conversations that would land heavily on Liam's shoulders, which only deepened the sympathy I felt for him. "They think I should speak to her," he confided one evening, his voice wavering. I could see him teetering on the edge of a decision that would impact both our futures. "No, Liam. You need to think about us and our child," I replied, the weight of my conviction evident. "Her behavior is toxic. For years she has manipulated, threatened, and belittled us. I cannot have her in our lives when our child arrives." Meeting my gaze, Liam's expression softened. He held my hands tightly, a reaffirming connection amidst the chaos. "You are right. I thought I could manage her, keep the peace, but I cannot jeopardize our family any longer. I do not want this toxicity in our lives." The resolute tone in his voice brought a sense of relief, a glimmer of hope that we could stand together against the oncoming storm. As we unpacked the situation further, I found myself sharing snippets of strength offered by friends and family who had borne witness to Evelyn's outburst. In the aftermath of the baby shower, social media platforms erupted with video evidence and testimonies that painted an unflattering portrait of Evelyn's behavior. A wave of support flowed in, both digitally and personally, reinforcing the knowledge that we were not alone in this battle. Liam watched as the perspective of those who had been present began to shift, those who had once remained neutral or uncertain now rallying around us. Over those weeks, we crafted a plan, a concrete approach to set our boundaries and make our decision clear. It became evident that for our child's safety and well-being, interactions with Evelyn must cease entirely. Though I had remained resolute, I knew Liam still needed time to process. "I will speak to her," he eventually decided, adopting an air of determination. "I will tell her that if she wishes to be in our lives moving forward, she must seek therapy. I do not want her interference, especially now." Watching him stand firm was electrifying, a realization that he had finally connected the dots between his loyalty to a destructive familial bond and our need for a unified front. That moment reignited a fire within me. The day arrived when Liam would confront his mother. We braced ourselves for the fallout. Yet there was also an unsettling sense of liberation in knowing we were charting our own course. We crafted a message together that encapsulated our stance. We were choosing love, respect, and well-being over toxic expectations. As Liam spoke with his mother, my heart raced with anticipation. I hope you can understand this is not just about you, that we are doing what we believe is necessary for our family, he asserted. In that moment, I felt as if the foundational pillars of our future were being laid. A silence stretched on the line before Evelyn responded, her protest laced with indignation. But Liam, fortified by our collective resolve, continued, "If things are to change, it must start with you. Otherwise, we cannot have further contact." His words echoed within me, a resonating promise that our story would no longer be tangled in the webs of familial manipulation and emotional turmoil. As the days passed, the silence from Evelyn almost felt surreal. For months, I had been perched on a precipice of anxiety, anticipating her every word, her every move. This newfound peace arrived with an undeniable weight lifted. Within that quiet space, we prepared for the arrival of our baby, immersing ourselves in each other's company and focusing on our growing family. Liam's father, Arthur, provided a steady stream of support, applauding our decision to prioritize our well-being. "I respect your choices, especially since I never realized how deep the issues ran until now," he acknowledged, reaffirming the strained bridge stretched across a complicated family history. In a twist of fate, the absence of Evelyn's tumultuous existence ushered in a profound clarity for both Liam and me. The newfound tranquility allowed us to nurture our relationship and our soon-to-be child, free from external toxicity. As we cultivated a peaceful future, I found beauty in the simplicity of daily life. We decorated the nursery together, each stroke of paint and every placement of decor imbued with love and intention, a stark contrast to the chaos that had previously threatened our happiness. Together we forged a bond stronger than we had ever imagined, allowing us to focus on building a nurturing environment for our family. The journey ahead was now marked not by fear but by love, a testament to the power of firm boundaries and a united partnership in the face of adversity. As I stood in the soft morning light filtering through the nursery window, a comforting silence enveloped me. It was peaceful, a stark contrast to the upheaval that had just transpired. Liam, beside me, beamed with fatherly pride as he patted the glossy paint on the walls we had carefully chosen together. This nursery felt like a sanctuary, a world we had created, shielded from the chaos that had threatened to engulf us. 2 months had elapsed since the defining moment at the baby shower, when our lives took a turn filled with uncertainty. The choice to set boundaries with Evelyn had been monumental, and while the decision had not come lightly, it had laid a solid foundation upon which we could build our family. Although our hearts still carried the weight of that day, they also brimmed with hope and anticipation. Liam's father, Arthur, had remained a steadfast ally, often checking in with us to see how we were doing. He gently reminded us that true family was about support, understanding, and love, not merely blood ties. His quiet wisdom and compassion became a balm as we navigated this uncharted territory, helping us to move forward, undeterred by the shadows of the past. In our conversations, I could sense the relief in Liam as he shared his thoughts and feelings about the distance we had established from his mother. "It is amazing how much lighter I feel, how much clearer my mind is," he admitted one evening. His honesty was refreshing, and it brought me comfort during my own moments of doubt. I always thought I had to protect her feelings, but in doing so, I was neglecting our well-being. It brought joy to my heart to witness him embrace the idea of creating our new family unit, one that was defined by respect and unconditional love. We were learning together, and with every decision, every moment of shared laughter, we were weaving an unshakable bond. The world outside was awakening. The flowers were blooming around the garden, and vibrant colors burst forth, signifying new life. I often caught myself daydreaming about our child taking their first steps in this space, giggling as they explored their surroundings and discovering life anew. The nursery had transformed into more than just a room. It was a promise of all the adventures that lay ahead. We filled our days with preparations, shopping for baby clothes, seeking out books about parenting, and taking long walks in the park, discussing our hopes and dreams. Each moment became a cherished memory, a thread in the ever-expanding tapestry of our lives. This period of preparation felt infinitely more rewarding than anything I had ever done in my career as a graphic designer. It was as if I were painting a canvas with Liam, allowing our hopes for the future to guide each stroke. Sometimes I found myself reflecting on the challenges that had come before us. They had molded us, forged our resilience, and shaped our priorities. I thought about Evelyn's manipulations, how her need for control had almost driven a wedge between us. Yet I realized now that confronting the toxic remnants of that past had only added to the strength of our relationship. Together we weathered the storm and emerged from it even closer. As the due date approached, I began to feel those familiar fluttering sensations, a lively reminder that a life was growing inside me. When I placed my hand on my belly, imagined tiny movements beneath my palm seemed to dance in rhythm with my heart. It was a beautiful, miraculous reality, intertwining us as a family. With the growing anticipation of our child's arrival, we also began venturing out to connect with other couples who were experiencing parenthood for the first time. Their journeys provided insight, laughter, and immeasurable warmth. Each gathering became a celebration of the incredible beauty of life itself. I reveled in the thought that soon we would hear our child's first cry, the beginning of a new chapter. One without the previously suffocating influence of Evelyn. It was a fresh start that promised joy, love, and understanding. Together, with steadfast hearts and open minds, we were ready to embrace the life we had built. As we stood in the nursery, bathed in the amber glow of the evening light, I knew this was just the beginning. Every challenge we had faced had melted away, allowing our shared love for one another to fill the gaps. We were embarking on this new journey, and for the first time I felt truly free. Thank you for joining me on this journey of self-discovery, love, and resilience. If you found value in this narrative, please consider liking this video and subscribing to my channel for more heartfelt stories and insights. Share your thoughts in the comments below. What boundaries have you had to set in your own life? And what would you like to see me explore next? Together, let us continue to navigate life's complexities and celebrate the beauty of new beginnings. Until next time, take care and be well.